it's great that you just brought this up about parents. I want both you gentlemen to talk to us about the role a parent should take in making a champion, let's say of Taekwondo or sports in general, or any aspect of life. Please talk to us about that.
I'll go first, and then Tony can talk about his parents and what maybe how his parents impacted him in his life. But
yes, for sure.
I posted something today on Facebook. I'm sure many people saw it. But Tony's parents were not there much. His dad was there more than his mom. When it came to training, it was probably the same. I mean, he showed up more at training, obviously, than competitions because they live, 5 blocks away. Tony's dad would walk in for like 10, 15 minutes, watch a little bit and leave, That's what he would do. Maybe he'd walk in once a month, maybe once every 2 months. But competition-wise, I think maybe 3 local ones maybe that he showed up, But his dad was not very involved in terms of Taekwondo and athletics, you know what I mean? I mean, he was there to support him financially, and he encouraged him and told him I always remember him saying to his son always, "You're the best." I know that for sure. He always said that. "You're the best," or "You're the strongest," and how much he believed in him. That I definitely remember, and that's something my parents did to me too. They always told me I was the best, Even if I wasn't, they always said that. And I remember his parents saying that, especially his dad, His dad was never really around, but I think it was a good thing. It was a good thing in a way, because a lot of times parents, they can be a big distraction. And I'm guilty of it too, because I have kids as well, and I'm guilty, and I still am guilty, and I'm still working on it. It's easy for me to speak it and say it, and it's hard for me to do, because who loves your kids more than you do, right? But the worst thing you can do to an athlete, especially your child, is to be on top of them and don't forget this and don't forget that, and why can't you do this, and why you didn't kick harder, or whatever. It's so annoying. And I remember as an athlete training, especially when I was losing weight, people would come up to me in a competition. I'm like, "Dude, leave me alone. You want this? You want that? You want water? You want massage?" I used to be so mad. I'm like, it's so annoying. So imagine what the kids are going through when a parent is like constantly on top of them. You know what I mean? It's annoying. And like what I said on Facebook today, imagine your child coming to work with you and nagging you behind your back, telling you what to do behind the computer while you're on your computer, or if you're a dentist, and they're on top of you behind you, "Mom, oh, Mom, you missed a spot there on the guy's tooth," and can you imagine knowing that it's the same thing? There's no difference. Just like I said, my advice is, and Tony didn't have to go through this because his dad wasn't around a lot, but I had athletes that their parents were there, but they weren't there. And they were very successful athletes. You know what I mean? The best thing to do as a parent is just support your kids. Be there. Encourage them. Just give them confidence and make them believe in themselves. Leave the hard stuff to the coach and in the practice area, in the school. You know what I mean? It's not easy being a parent when you have an athlete. It's not, because I have 3 athletes in my house, and it's not easy at all. But the best thing to do is sit back and relax and just enjoy the journey. They're going to fail 100%, because if they don't fail, they're not going to reach their point where they want to get. They have to fail. So just let them fail anyway. You know what I mean? Let them fail anyway. Instead of you nagging them and they fail, just don't nag them. Let them fail. Let them cry. When they're ready to come to you, they will open up.
We said about that in the sense that when I did it for me. I wanted it. I had to ask them to go. Obviously there's a lot of reasons behind it. My parents that wasn't their passion, right? They supported me, but I wanted it. But like I learned a lot about myself, traveling, growing up, being responsible for my own stuff, and it's trial by fire. You grow up really fast, and that's probably why I matured. About parents, if we could talk, one of the best models I've ever seen in my life was Kevin Padilla. They sat separately. They were not allowed to interact with the kids. The kids all had to sit together, and the parents were not allowed to interact. He goes, "All this work I do, and you're going to mess it up. I'm telling you to be patient, and you're telling them go, go, go." I go, "Stop it. If you trust me or you don't, there's one coach, have them like this. Otherwise, there's, too many chiefs, right? And who they're going to now becomes a coup."
It's what I think it's what you do in the beginning. Like all you coaches out there, you have to set your standards in the beginning. You know what I mean? If you set your standards in the beginning with parents and you explain to them exactly what we're talking about now, they will understand. They will have no choice. But if you let them kind of cross that line once in a while, that line will become 2 lines, 3 lines, 4 lines. And before you know it, you got parents on top of the athletes, on top of you. And well, it's your fault for letting it happen. You know what I mean?
Sabo, honestly, probably one of the reasons I was so successful, and this is weird to say that because no parent went to get their feelings hurt, is because there was nobody between you and me. When you told me something, it was just you and me, Right. And like, it was like, Tony, I need you to do this. I didn't go and look for my dad. I didn't do that.
Right.
I just said, yes, sir. And that was it. It was me and you and on a damn bus ride and or whatever. I had nobody to look to except for you. Right. And your dad. And that was it. And that was like, and so there was my authority. And maybe that's what it was. It's too many people they get this watered down message. Right.
Right.
Because what happens is they're kind of going like this. They're looking for their way out, their excuse, their approval. Right. And for me, I just got to say, yes, sir.
Right.
And check if that's okay with you.
Right.
That was it. So that maybe there's something to be said about direct communication. Now we know that that's really challenging, especially in traveling. We can't do what we like back in the day. You can't have a 13-year-old go with, to travel, there's a lot of things that have happened through the years that people will say, well, this is not okay anymore. But maybe at the same rate, parents need to just step back and be like, trust. Maybe when they look over, you go, why are you looking at me?
Right. And it's hard sometimes because sometimes your child comes to you and asks you a question that the parent has no idea of what they're talking about. Sometimes, like, for example, if I'm a Taekwondo athlete and my dad never did Taekwondo and I go to him, Dad, so how's my kick look? But naturally your dad answers you, but the right answer for the dad is like, I don't know, son, go ask your coach. You know what I mean? That's what the answer should be. Not like, I don't know, it looks good, it looks fast, but really he doesn't know if it's good or not. Like me, for example, my son does baseball. Like, there's so much involved in technique in every sport. Like, it could look good to you. Like, I think my son has a great swing, but then I take him to a batting lesson and then there's so much more involved. It's like crazy. And I'm like, after a while, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to say anything anymore because I don't know what I'm talking about.
Great. I don't train my own daughter. I during the quarantine, I spent a little bit more time than I wanted to as far as training her. And the reason I don't train her is like in the philosophy of like Kung Fu, they say the father never trains the son. They always hand him to the uncle. Right. And the reason is I'm dad. Right. Dad is the person who puts his arm around, kisses you, and gives you a cookie. Right. Master Graf doesn't. Does that make sense? And the lines get crossed. They become gray. So you have to make sure that I train my staff. And I tell them, I'll whisper in their ear, and I'll step back. And the only time I see my daughter, I was like, show me that again. How do you hold your side kick? Beautiful. Excellent. I don't go, do it again, like this. Again, give me one more, right? None of that. I step away because I know that the worst thing, that it's the high probability of burnout is there. Like, even the way that, like, you have to be strategic about the way you train. Like, in the way you have to, you can't have it can't be Groundhog Day, right?
It's over coaching and it's bad, and it just causes confusion, if you know what I mean. The less voices kids have, the better it is for them.